welcome to Be Embodied, and the next technique I'm going to share with you is about finding the present moment, and it's about grounding essentially. So we're going to be working on particular points in the feet and even exploring front to back balance within ourselves as we move. The idea is that the mind is always in the future or the past, the body is always in the present moment, and it can be a great anchor into the here and now. And even when looking at people, like in a side-on sagittal plane profile, where their body is situated in space can also be an indicator of what's going on for them on a nervous system kind of level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a couple of tests, and one of them will be just tuning into the subtlety of where your body is in space in the sagittal plane. We're like a go-get-em culture, you know, it's like we want it all here and now. Sometimes our body can reflect that, and it takes a little bit of exhalation and a little bit of fine-tuning to just help to anchor you into the here and now. So for test number one, so we're just going to have a couple of little tests to see whether or not these techniques actually do things. Is going to be just exploring the weight over your feet, okay? So just tuning into your feet. You can have your feet hip distance apart, big toe, second toe pointing straight ahead. And then just tuning into how does your weight feel on your feet. And more often than not, because we are a go-getting culture and we want it like done now or yesterday even, your pelvis can reflect this, and your relation to gravity can reflect this as well. Quite often, the pelvis is there before the rest of us, and you can end up with a kind of like a zig pattern, a little bit of collapse in the front, a little bit of tension in the back. But just tuning into how your body feels as you stand upright, and where the weight might fall in your feet. Is the weight more in the ball of the foot, the front part of the foot, or is it more in the heel? See, even just being aware of subtleties like this can really draw you out of the pattern. So just being aware of front to back balance in itself can just be enough of a training in order to just bring you back into balance with gravity, which in turn creates much better balance and more harmony for the nervous system, okay? So what I wanted out of this was just to draw your awareness of that front to back balance, but also where does your weight fall on your feet, okay? Where does the weight come down and fall through? Is it more the forefoot? Is the weight more on the front of the foot, the ball of the foot, or is it more on the heel? So we have lots of different patterns that can be generated with regards to balance, body weight, gravity, and of course that has a knock-on effect with the nervous system. Okay, you're going to need 2 blocks as well. So I'm going to ask you to grab 2 blocks. Have them close, and we're just going to do another couple of little exercises that will wake up the feet and generate a sense of grounding and calming. So just when you thought you were safe, there's a couple more little tests that we have to perform as well. So we're actually going to be working with the feet, but it has a global effect. Okay, so even working with the feet are connected to everything else. Maybe not through the eyes of anatomy where everything's cut up and dissected and separated, but we're going to see if we can actually release tension in our legs, in our hamstrings. And I mean, even the hamstrings, they have an interesting story. Apparently there's the element of trust or lack of trust when you have tension in the hamstrings. The element of not letting go is about withheld tension. And interestingly, it can be released through grounding. It can be released through even working on a particular point that we're going to explore. So I'm just going to invite you to come into a seated forward fold. And we're just going to see how far we can get into it, because you might be quite surprised what happens after this next exercise. So sitting with your legs out in front of you, feet together, legs together, arms by your side, spine's nice and straight. And this is just to tune into how far you can go, okay? Just what's going on in the superficial back line, the calf muscles, the hamstrings, which also weave into the erector muscles in the back. But either way, inhale, raise the arms, spine's nice and straight. Exhale, fold, and bring your hands to your shins, your ankles, or hook your big toes, and just tune into how far you can go and how does that feel right now, because this is a reference point we will be coming back to. Inhale, arms up, spine nice and straight yet again. Exhale, arms out to the sides. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to massage a special point on the foot, which is to invigorate our postural center. It's called Kirchi Shira. And basically this point on the base of the foot, it's where the gravity comes down through us. It's right underneath the talus, and it's right in front of the calcaneus, this hind tarsal, this big bone. The heel is right, well, it's anterior to it, so it's actually right in front of it. Okay, so we're going to end up just massaging this area, which correlates with this interesting vital point. And it's known to improve your posture, wake up the muscles that control the feet, enliven the feet, essentially, and it can even improve digestion. So what we're going to do to find this area, and also the soft tissues or the fascia related to it, is have your right knee bent, draw the toes towards the shin on the right, pull the toes back to tension, pre-tension, and if you strung left to right, you'll feel the plantar fascia, which is like slithery, like it's a tendon, it's quite thin, and right where the arch is, the medial arch, if you trace that to the midline of the foot, you'll be able to feel that kind of tendon, okay? And this is the area that we're going to be massaging, okay? But it's also the area that relates to this Kirchi Shira Marma point too. And everything is connected, everything is woven together. So literally it will have an effect that radiates out, okay? So we're going to come into a bound angle pose or cobbler's pose, and we're going to massage this area, which is just in front of the heel. But we're going to be generous. We're just going to massage this entire area here, okay? Just in front of the heel, around the medial arch, where that tendon is, and also where that vital point is, just the center of the heel, a bit more anterior to it, okay? Keep your spine straight. So if you need to get a couple of cushions in order to do that, please do, okay? So, and then coming into your bound angle pose. So bringing your heels towards the sits bones, letting the knees drop out to the side. And then taking your thumbs, and then just massaging that area there on the inside of your foot, using your thumbs and using good pressure as well, a good amount of pressure to get into that area. Correlates with switching on the muscles of the foot and finding your postural center. So be generous. We'll be generous with time. You'll be generous with your effort, with the friction circles. You will be rewarded. You know, if you get a spontaneous exhale, that's the nervous system saying that it's being influenced and it's having a calming effect. But your feet are your foundations, and you have to get your foundations in order before you can get the rest of the house in order. So it's a good place. It's always a good place to start. Motion is lotion. You're getting into those soft tissues. So you're getting into the plantar fascia, but that will be superficial compared to the toe flexors, which are deep beneath it. And around this area, you do have the talus bone, which is where the weight of the body falls through. And then just lateral to that we have the cuboid as well, so the tarsals are they're quite approximated. They make an arch. It's like a strong, solid arch here that can always support you, and it's about working with that and coming into alignment with that. Okay, and we can release the feet, and what we're going to do is we're going to come back to that pre-test of the forward fold, and then we're going to take to our blocks. Okay? So legs out in front of you, feet together, and legs touching, spine nice and straight. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, fold. And just tuning into how does that feel, say, compared to the last time. It might be rather interesting that you have actually just released your hamstrings through your feet, or you've just managed to create space in the whole body by just working on the foundations alone, by working on that vital point, quite literally. Okay, so that's it. Inhale up, raising the arms, exhale, arms down to the side. And I'm going to invite you to grab your blocks now for another little exercise. And what you've done is you've just woken up your postural center there of the foot, of the feet, which kind of does make you feel a little bit more kind of like grounded and in your postural center anyway. But we're going to up level that, and I want you to get 2 blocks, one block in front of the other, and we're actually going to mount the blocks. Okay, so your feet are like bridges. So once you've mounted the blocks and you feel like your forefoot is securely on that front block and the heel is firmly on that back block, just tuning into your weight and how it falls. Does it feel like it's more on the forefoot? Does it feel like it's more on the heel? Do you just feel quite balanced anyway? With any of them, this technique will just make you feel even more centered and even more calm and grounded. Okay, so just going to invite you to have your arms to the sides and just imagining that the spine is nice and tall, nice and long, like a pine growing in the forest. Okay, I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale, slow and steady. And with each exhale, you feel the weight come down into your feet. So inhale. You feel as the diaphragm contracts, the ribs move out, and then as you exhale, you get that sense of grounding in your feet and become your feet, but keeping the spine nice and tall, like that pine in the forest, like I said. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to ask you to have your eyes open, have a soft gaze, and we're just going to sway forward and back over our feet. And the arms can move to counterbalance the movement of the body. So it's just like a gentle little swaying or penduluming of the body, and using your arms to just help along with the movement. And when you sway forward, you feel the weight is more on the ball of the foot. And when you sway back, you can sense that the weight comes more into the heels. So now you're a bit more aware of where the weight falls, and you can play with it. And we're just going to keep penduluming because it does have a nice calming or soothing effect on the nervous system. It activates something called the baroreceptor reflex, actually, with regard to our movement of the body through space, which are these stretch receptors which we have in the carotid artery and the aortic arch. And when we activate those stretch receptors, it actually calms down the heart, it regulates the blood pressure, it brings us back to a kind of homeostasis so that everything is optimized and balanced. What we're going to do now is we're going to slow down the movement, and the idea is to find, with regards to that front to back balance, just optimal harmony. And what does that mean? That means you don't want too much weight on the forefoot. You don't want to be too much on the heel, just find the sweet spot, that place in between where you just feel like there is balance and everything is equanimous, okay? So not too much on the forefoot, not too much on the hind foot, but to be here now, to be present moment, just to find that sweet spot. And then breathe into it, take a snapshot of it, inhale, exhale slow and steady. That's it. And then after 3, we're going to step off the blocks, but we're going to try and maintain this postural center, this awareness, this grace, this integrity that we just created as a result of this exercise. Rather than just dumping into our medial arch, pronating the feet, we're going to move forward with this newfound awareness. So 1, 2, 3, and you can slowly dismount the blocks. Just going to place the blocks to one side. And just remembering that you can tune into this newfound and a sagittal plane awareness, which also represents the power of now, that being here now that I talked about, whenever you need to, even without the blocks. But the blocks do kind of give you a greater sense of how to create that balance, but you can also take this exercise anywhere with you to perform at any time without them, okay? So thank you for spending time with me, and I look forward to sharing some other techniques with you soon.